Hello again to another Agakala React, and today is the 22nd of January, and on the 22nd of January 1506 the first contingent of the 150 Swiss Guards arrived at the Vatican, and because of that we're gonna watch why the Pope's army is the strongest in the world from Sorry guys, I'm not native English speaker. I'm not entirely sure how to do the TH sounds that properly. And there's a GHT as well, together as a one thing, so yeah. So, let's just go and see. And let's watch. Why is it the strongest army in the world?
This video is kindly sponsored by Keeps, but more on them later on. Hey, 42 here. When I say the word soldier to
Didn't he just say like 42?
Into your head? Tactical armor.
That sounded like 42
rifles,
to me.
Hand-to-hand combat.
42?
How about colourful pajamas?
Not
If
very colourful,
you've
that's
ever
true.
visited Vatican City, the world's smallest country and the home of God's representative on Earth, you probably know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Because the soldiers tasked with guarding the Pope, known as the Swiss Guard, do so by wearing what is very probably the most outlandish uniform of any military force in the entire world. Why exactly is the Pope protected by an elite
It looks
force
kind of
of
outlandish
Swiss
compared to
blokes
the
in
Nova
clown
Days
outfits?
uniforms, but if
I'm
we're gonna,
glad you asked.
if we're gonna go
Now, I
into
want to take a
past
brief
in the
moment and talk
into
about
the
hair loss,
history, we're
because
gonna
I've
see
had a
that
few
some of
people
the
close to me
uniforms
start to
were
lose
quite
their
weird.
hair as early as their 20s, and it's always an upsetting experience. If you're in the same boat, then you're not alone. Did you know
Well, I
2 out of
didn't
3
really
guys
start
will
on
experience
that guy,
some
and
form
I
of
haven't really
male
started
pattern
losing my
baldness
hair.
by the time
But
they're 35.
I start getting grey,
But
as you
the
can
best
see.
thing you can do to prevent hair loss
I'm trying
is
to
take
hide
the
it.
initiative now and do something about it whilst you've still got hair left. I like
And I was in my
Keeps
20s
because
as
it
well
makes
when I started getting
treatment
grey.
super easy by delivering your hair loss medication every 3 months directly to your door. So you can say goodbye to awkward doctor visits and waiting in pharmacy checkout lines. There's a reason that Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of
that's
its
what it calls
competitors,
because you're keeping
and
your hair.
hundreds of thousands of men trust them for their hair
It's
loss
actually not a bad
prevention
name.
medication.
If you think about it.
If you're like me, you're probably not
How
ready
long
to
is
lose
this
your
video
hair
actually?
just yet.
10 minutes,
But
okay.
prevention is key. The faster you act, the faster you'll see results. And the sooner you start using
He's not
Keeps,
wrong.
the
He's
more hair
absolutely
you'll
right,
save.
and that's in
So,
health in general,
if you're
isn't it?
noticing that you're losing your hair, do something about it. For a limited time, go to keeps.com/42.
He does say like
Click the link in
42.
the description below to receive 50% off your first order.
Seriously, guys, this
The
is
Swiss
sounds
Guard
to
is
me
one
like
of
he
the
says
most
40,
unique
like
and
40,
intriguing
40.
military forces in operation today. For starters, it's one of the oldest standing armies.
You
in
see,
the
the
world,
uniforms are almost
having
looking
been
almost
founded
exactly
more
the
than
same.
500 years ago. It's also one of the smallest, with just 135 members. But thanks to the Vatican's minuscule size, Swiss Guardsmen actually make up about 16% of the nation's total population. That means there's a genuine argument for Vatican City being the most militarized country on the entire
That
planet.
makes sense, true. 16%
As
of...
for why the Pope is guarded by a Swiss army in the first place, well, whilst us European types like to poke fun at Switzerland for generally staying out of things in the face of war, it turns out that a few centuries ago, Switzerland boasted some of the most ruthless and efficient warriors alive. As a result, Swiss mercenaries were incredibly sought after, often being drafted in to bolster the armies of other nations across Europe. And it wasn't just their skill in battle that made Swiss mercenaries so coveted.
Guys, why all of them went to the west and none of them to the east?
And unshakable loyalty. Traits that made them ideal bodyguards for world leaders and other VIPs. And as I'm sure you'll agree, no P is more VI than the Pope. In the early 16th century, the stellar reputation of Swiss mercenaries caught the attention of Pope Julius II. Even amongst popes, Julius II was kind of a big deal. He established the Vatican museums that are still visited by millions of people.
Wait,
today,
what?
Over 500 years later.
Damn, guys, that's an old museum.
St. Peter's Basilica into the largest church in the world, a title it's held ever since. And he commissioned some random painter-decorator by the name of Michelangelo to spruce up the ceiling of the newly completed Sistine Chapel. whatever that is. Men of the stature of Pope Julius II inevitably earned themselves a few enemies on their rise to the top, and so, in 1505, he asked Switzerland
I don't
if they
think
wouldn't mind
Vatican
lending
was
him
so small
200
back then as
of their
well, isn't
finest
it? It was
mercenaries
much bigger.
to form his personal guard.
I can't remember
Soon enough,
exactly
the men were
now
on
the
their
history
way.
of Italy, but
It's quite a long march from
it
Switzerland
wasn't be
to
that it's
central
actually
Italy,
the Pope
but
was ruling the whole
apparently
Italy
all
back then.
roads lead to Rome, so at least there was no chance of getting lost. Still, it took a good 4 months for this elite fighting force to complete the journey. The Swiss soldiers arrived on the 22nd of January, 1506, and they've been there pretty much ever since. As for why they wear uniforms that look like they were designed by a 5-year-old on acid, the reason is actually pretty simple. The bright colour scheme was chosen to reflect the house colours of 2 of Italy's most important noble families at the time, the Della Roveres and the Medicis, both of whom
I
had
heard
supplied
about
the
the
Catholic Church
Medicis,
with
but
several
Della
popes
Rovere?
over the years. And whilst the various archaic elements of the uniforms may look pretty ridiculous to the modern eye,
It sounds like they're actually going on the war, isn't it?
Stuff during the Renaissance when they were
Yeah.
first worn. I'm no Tom Ford, but I think it's safe to say 500 years is enough to make even the most conservative of fashion choices look a little outdated. The Swiss Guard uniform holds the distinction of being the heaviest military uniform currently in use, weighing in at over 3.5 kilograms.
That is a
And
lot.
so eye-catching
3.5
that Swiss
kilo.
Guards stationed near roads
I'm trying
aren't
to
allowed to wear
figure
them
out where my sugar
for
is
fear
because
of
I have
distracting
bags of 1 kilo,
motorists
so that would be
and
like
causing
3 in the
traffic
more.
accidents.
Whoa.
Each uniform is made up of 154 individual pieces, and every set is tailor-made for the soldier who wears it. A process that takes around 32 hours across 3 individual fittings. The weapons
they
of
do
the
only
Swiss
one
Guard
uniform,
are
though?
similarly old school, mostly consisting of halberds and a variety of swords. You may have heard that Michelangelo was responsible for the uniform's original design, but I'm afraid that's a myth spread in part by American author Dan Brown. Although, coincidentally, parts of the modern version of the uniform, which was redesigned in 1914, were based on frescoes painted by Michelangelo's Renaissance rival and fellow Ninja Turtle, Raphael. By now, you might be thinking the Swiss
This guy is
Guard
actually
with their
funny.
silly outfits and medieval weapons are a bit of a joke. A mock military force that's more for show than anything else.
Okay.
But before you have any ideas about getting some mates together to initiate a hostile takeover of Vatican City and declare yourself Pope,
Yeah, I don't think that's
I
gonna be
should
working
point
like that
out
though.
that underneath the mental uniforms, Swiss guardsmen are actually elite soldiers who undergo rigorous special training. The uniforms I've been talking about so far are only used for ceremonial purposes
Yeah.
and to impress the tourists. When the Swiss Guard are engaged in more traditional soldiering and other Pope protection duties, they wear modern uniforms and swap the medieval weaponry for high-tech firearms and pepper spray.
Is that
In
the
short,
is that the
you
modern
really
one?
don't
Because
want to
honestly,
mess with them.
that doesn't look that
Over the
modern.
centuries, the Swiss Guard have had a fair few chances to demonstrate just how tough they are. But probably their most famous military engagement came just a couple of decades after they were founded. In 1527, 20,000 soldiers belonging to Holy Roman Emperor Charles V stormed the city of Rome, looting and pillaging as they went. Charles V was a member of the House of Habsburg, by the way. Long-term viewers of the channel will be pleased to hear he did indeed have a truly gargantuan chin. I should probably mention that whilst the rampaging soldiers were part of Charles V's army, they weren't actually sacking Rome on his orders. The men had gone rogue after payment of their salaries was delayed. Union disputes have gotten a lot less dramatic in the past 500 years, haven't they? Anyway,
True.
Rome's garrison numbered around 5,000 men at the time, meaning the city's defenders were outnumbered 4-1. Luckily, they had an ace up their collective sleeve, 189 elite Swiss guardsmen. As Charles V's soldiers swept through the city, slaughtering and stealing left, right, and centre, the Swiss Guard prepared to defend the Supreme Pontiff Clement VII. The resulting battle has since become known as the Stand of the Swiss Guard.
Okay.
Of the 189 guardsmen in the
I do have to say that
Pope's
this
royal
looking kind of interesting, if you think about it. Look at the map. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse?
First, the
Why I lost
Teutonic
my mouse?
Cemetery.
What I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So this is the square, isn't it? It's not square. How's it called? I can't come out with the names, guys, now. Oh, that's the basilica here. And that's literally just like gardens, isn't it?
And
Kinda
then
interesting.
the steps of St. Peter's Basilica against thousands of attackers. They signed up for the
I kinda
Swiss
wonder
Guard,
if there's
knowing
like,
they might have to give their lives to protect them.
walls all around it.
And that time had
Let me see. Good bum. Here. So basically all this here. Is that still walls, like currently? Because obviously I presume back then that were walls. And obviously Vatican was like surrounded by walls
Sure enough,
to just make
by the
it
end of
safer.
the day,
But
all
how is it now?
137 guardsmen were dead. But that didn't mean the stand of the Swiss Guard had ended in failure. You see, the men had known full well there was no chance of victory. There were simply too many enemies, and sheer weight of numbers would eventually tell. But the guards weren't fighting to win. They gave their lives to buy time. Because whilst they fought to the death outside the basilica, the remaining 42 guardsmen, yes, 42, led the Pope to an 800-meter long secret passageway known as Pasito di Borgo that links Vatican City to the Castel San Angelo to this day.
okay.
There, Clement VII successfully made his escape.
It's not that secret
remained
anymore. I wonder if there's more
until
secret
his
passages
death
there from
7
Vatican
years
City.
later.
That is still secret.
If all of this sounds interesting to you, and you're keen to try and join this elite band of colourfully clad badasses, I'm afraid you're out of luck. Or at least you probably are, because the requirements to join the Swiss Guard
It's
are
probably have to be
incredibly
Swiss, huh?
For starters, the name isn't just for show. You literally do have to be Swiss to join, which rules out 99.999% of the world's population right off the bat. Not that simply being Swiss is enough,
Yeah.
of course. Not by a long shot. Those wanting to join the Swiss Guard need first to have completed basic training with the Swiss Army. They also need to be male and between the ages of 19 and 30, at least 174 centimeters tall, and
That's
unmarried.
tall.
Oh, and they have to be Catholic.
Well,
Obvious.
that's kind of, yeah, exactly. That's
If
obvious, isn't
you
it?
do happen to be Swiss, tall, young, unmarried, Catholic, and in possession of one standard issue penis, then congratulations. You've won the Swiss Guard lottery. Unfortunately, I'm afraid this particular lottery doesn't pay very well. The salary for a Swiss Guard is €1,300 per month. Tax-free, that's about €400 below the national post-tax average salary in Italy.
That's kind of
And
shocking.
almost €3,500 lower than the national
Yeah.
average in Switzerland. A
Damn.
country that's regularly
But
ranked
I
in the
guess
top
there's some
3
kind of
nations
like having
worldwide
that in your
for the
resume.
average post-tax
It's a good thing, though.
On the plus side, the Swiss Guard does have one of the best
Yeah.
retirement plans
There you
in
go.
the entire world. You'll almost certainly get to go to heaven.
Oh, that one, okay.
So,
But what
maybe
about
this
the
is
real
such a bad
retirement plan?
career
What
choice.
about that? Because obviously, if they have between, what, 19 and 30, that's not
Thanks
that
for watching.
old. And you opt, is it? You're welcome, by the way. Actually, I missed the fact that he finished. So, yeah, I'm kind of interested about that. So, if they turn 30, or is that just the age of the time when they can apply to be, like, I don't know, what's that called? They apply for that work. So between 19 and 30, and if you're older, you definitely gonna be like gone. No, you're not. You're too old to be that. But are they kind of going like, like progressing in ranks, even if they're more than 30 years old? I don't know how that works. Like, I mean, I'm just curious now. This is why I'm watching videos like that, because if I have a question, I'm kind of curious. I just want to know. Does anyone knows? Obviously, I can look that up, and I probably will look that up after I finish recording. But this is only Monday, so I still have a few more videos to record. So I might forget about it. So if someone's watching this and have an answer, please answer in the comments. And that was actually a really good video. It was funnier than I was expecting. And I'm still kind of curious about the name of the channel and the creator. Is it... Because I'm really... I heard like he says 40, 42. Maybe it's some kind of a word play on something. Tothy. Yeah, like you see, I can't even say that thing. I'm gonna write it down here anyway. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.